Ladies and gentlemen, I love World of Tanks. I have loved World of Tanks since the days that the ISW was relevant. Speaking of relevant, for the longest time, the Ferdinand was basically like Star Wars. Anything new made it worse. Now, in current patch, we got a little something to talk on. Bit of background here, I've always compared the Ferdinand to the Tiger P. Why? Well, simply because they have exactly the same hull. Historical accuracy and all that. And that hull is garbage. It's abominable. It has more weak spots than an egg balanced on a feckin' sandcastle. This is the physical incarnation of inadequacy. It's partly because of the angles. I mean, look, see these corners here, these angle bits on the corner? Yeah, they're 80. They're 80, they're 122 flat on. This is tier 7 heavy tank. And of course, we're very sad that we also have a lower plate because the side skirts being a weak point was not enough. Apparently, also Tiger P gets cupola and overmatchable move. And here we can see them side by side in patch 1.27. It's like comparing a melon to a coconut. Same hole, same garbage. And here in current patch, our Tiger P still has the integrity of a chocolate bathtub. Now, let's take a look at current patch Ferdinand. What? Yeah, what is correct? Ladies and gentlemen, say a fond welcome and hello to the thumbnail, because this is the event version, and it's going away now. Shameless clickbait aside, not entirely misleading. Shall we have a comparison? Now you may look at this and think, well Steve, there's not much different in the previous patch on the right, maybe even looks a little better. Au contraire. Look at the collision. Ladies and gentlemen, this Ferdinand on the left is no longer a baby. The cheeks have doubled. They were 80, like 150 and 120 flat. They are now 160 base with an effective of like 220, 230. That is, they essentially doubled in both base and effective thickness. That's not breaking any records. The Ferdinand's not going to suddenly be a ridiculously overpowered vehicle, but it doesn't have the cheeks aren't as weak as they were. Yeah, if you present an angle, most stuff is going to be able to pin it, but front on, it's not an auto pin. You're not going to get randomly pinned at a weird angle by a KV2 with a P. And you know, that's a nice thing in a tier 8 heavy TD. A lower plate is still the same, that hasn't changed at all. This next quirk is very odd, because the Ferdinand has always had a very weird weak spot that you never gave a toss about, because you just shoot here if you're aiming to pin it. However, do you see the slope that's present here? A lot of us are aware of the under-track shot, where you shoot up under a track, you hit the armor, and you overmatch and you get a pin, right? Well, the Ferdinand basically lines itself up for that with its armor profile automatically, because if you shoot here, you see this 25 millimeters right here? That's essentially an under-track shot when it's pointing directly at you. Because the Ferdinand needed more bad things. Look, the armor slopes up, and as a result, you can hit the 25 millimeter under-track armor or over-track armor from the front. What's odd is that that's still the same on the Ferdinand. Fine, can't change profile too much. Right, still comes up, you can still hit that shot from the front. Not like you probably want to aim for it, but you can. Now what's odd is that this armor right here, on the angled bit of the upper plate that we all bounce off when they're shooting at Tiger 1s with larger caliber guns than it should be bouncing off them, this is 80. But on the better armor Ferdinand, it's 50. Meaning that it will now be overmatched by some of the largest caliber guns in the game, like a Jagdpanzer, Death Star with AP, I think even the BZ, although I can't quite recall the caliber. But it just seems really odd, because it hasn't affected anything apart from those really niche game states where it's going to get overmatched. Not really sure why that happened. But let's talk Superstructure, because it's gone up by 20 to an effective of about 230. And look, 230 again, not breaking any records, but it just means that the Ferdinand now, when it encounters lower tier tanks, tier 7s, tier 6s, it can, conceal the lower plate, go hold down, maybe you have a bit of longevity, maybe you have a bit of survivability, unless there's arty in the game, because your roof is 30 millimeters, but, the Ferdinand is, it's not, Now, why they didn't see fit to give the Tiger P some of these blessings, I will never know. But ladies and gentlemen, do follow on Twitch. I'll leave a link in the description. I'm going live very shortly, I think, with some Power Control Subnautica, and we stream World of Tanks on the weekend, so if you do want to come and say hi, go and do that. Thank you very much for watching. Do enjoy your day. Bye.
Peabody, cheers from Germany, man. Thought I'd hide a couple silly verses, my friend. He is a nice guy like Ned Flanders, but wielding a band hammer that make viewers feel him like a gang member, yeah. You better never ever shoot versus the man, cause that's a jerk of his hand, hence you're a permanent ban, yep. Like in a roleplay game, you wield a dagger but get smashed.